over 1 million views on it. You guys seen his episode yesterday. He's really interactive. Literally nothing's off limits, okay? He's pretty wild. So cameraman, get ready to follow him around everywhere, okay? All right, so let's introduce him. Give a hand for Nick Farr.
I have the distinguished pleasure to be called wild after 2 periods. He's only seen me do this for 2 periods, and I've already been classified as wild. So, did everyone in here see the episode? Was it okay? So it was the episode, one of the ones that I won, right? All right, good. And you mentioned the sandwich already. Is that right? What did you love about that sandwich? That it looked very good. You eat with your eyes first, your eyes and your nose. You eat with your eyes and your nose first. Any other questions about that sandwich or anything that you saw before I get started on the show? Was that fun to watch that? And then know that the person that was doing it was going to be coming the next day? Good, because it was also fun for me. All right, I'm going to give you a little background of my life. Okay, I'm going to go from the beginning up until this point, just to give you a little context of the person that I am. I like to do it with pictures and stories. I don't know about you, but when in corporate America, where I've been for 24 years, someone puts up a slide with a bunch of black bullet points, it's very hard to follow. So we're not going to do that today. You have any questions, you want to interrupt me at any time to know whatever it is that you want, I promise that I will tell you the truth and nothing is off limits, including the show, my life, etc. You're going to meet someone very special in a little while too. All right, so let's start at the top left. My dad was Chicago police for 34 years. We moved to Arizona in 1995. He was also a Marine. My cousin, see that's the United States Navy symbol? My cousin Jeanette is the second highest ranked female in the entire United States Navy. She's 300 miles off the coast of Israel right now, just waiting to see if something happens. So she is by far the most acclaimed person in my family. My dad's my hero. She's definitely a hero of mine. That house in the middle right there, that's my brother Scott. I am the youngest of 4 kids. Is anyone the youngest in their family here? Youngest? How many brothers and sisters? 4 brothers, 1 sister.
4 brothers, 1 sister.
4 brothers, 1 sister too? Oh, I was going to say. All right. So you know what it's like for your parents to not pay that much attention to you, being the youngest, because they're spread really thin, right? So my sister is 18 years older than me, my brother 16 years older than me, my other brother 15 years older than me, and then I came along. See this, that's cut directly from Zillow right there. That's the house that I grew up in on the southeast side of Chicago. 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 792 square feet. I'm not sure if you guys are in any math classes at Red Mountain, but if you did 4 kids and 2 parents, 2 bedrooms is not enough. So my bedroom, when I was born, was the back porch. My dad put up painter's cloth on the windows of the back porch, rolled in a portable radiator, turned it on, and that was where I lived the first 5 years of my life. My bedroom was a porch with a bed and a radiator in it, and that was it, and a bunch of painter's cloth up there. So needless to say, I had to learn how to be pretty gritty, and you're going to hear that word a bunch today. I had to learn to be pretty gritty to get the last pork chop up there, to get seconds on a meal, because all of my siblings were older than me. We moved in 1995. Why did we move? I was graduating high school in 1995. My parents were unsure if we were going to stay in Chicago, move to Florida, or Arizona. They came to Arizona to check out the area, and they ended up being in Ahwatukee, which is about 30 minutes away from here, maybe 40. They ended up being in this area called Ahwatukee, and they were looking and seeing houses. They left their 17-year-old son at home for that trip while they were going to look at houses to determine whether we were going to move to Arizona or not. I was being recruited. I played 4 years of high school baseball. You'll see that here in a minute. I was being recruited by a bunch of schools in the Midwest, and we were unsure if we were going to leave or not. The first night that they were in Arizona looking at houses, the Latin Kings burnt down my neighbor's house, who was a Latin count. They threw a Molotov cocktail through the front window of the house and burnt it to the ground. Actually singed part of the roof of my house. I woke up the next morning to complete shambles at next door. My dad called in to check on me for that day and said, "How's it going?" And I said, "They burnt down the house next door. The Latin Kings burnt down the house." And that day, they bought a house in Arizona. That day. My dad came back, said, all right, let's go take a trip to Arizona and see if anyone wants you to play baseball there, so to see if you want to come with us, right? So this was 1994, 5. No internet, no video, no file shares that you could just send videos over, telephones. So we called for 2 consecutive days the coaches of all of these junior colleges in Arizona. Not a single one answered. That was the only way you can get a hold of them. No email, no internet, no nothing. So me and my dad got on a plane. We went to Glendale Community College, no dice. Mesa Community College, no dice. Phoenix Community College, no dice. Walked into Scottsdale Community College, right there, the Fighting Artichokes, and the coach was there. Told him the story, told him where I was from. He said, let's get you enrolled in classes. You're going to be an artichoke. And you got a spot on the baseball team. Still got to try out, but you got a spot on the baseball team. So that was the day that I decided to go to Scottsdale Community College. But let's back up a quick second. That high school emblem right there is Mount Carmel High School. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. That's the emblem, a little bit bigger. It's been around since 1900, a lot longer than Red Mountain High School has been. The reason why, I'm going to tell you the reason why I did not play football and I did not play basketball. They're on your screen. This gentleman right here is Donovan McNabb. That's his actual Mount Carmel jersey right there, and him as a sophomore at Mount Carmel. That's him in the NFC Championship game. That was the quarterback at Mount Carmel when I went there. And I had every intention on playing football. The first time that I saw who was out on that football field, I said, I'm no longer a football player. Then I said, I'm going to be a basketball player. Not sure if you can tell or not. I don't necessarily look like a basketball player, but I said, I'm going to go try out for basketball. I went to the summer camp. I walked in, and this guy was there. And that's his Mount Carmel shirt. You could see it right there. His name is Antoine Walker. He's a 4-time All-Star for the Boston Celtics and won the NBA championship with Shaq and Dwayne Wade on the Miami Heat. He's the reason why I no longer played basketball. So we had some very good athletes at Mount Carmel when I was going to school. That right there, if you're a Cardinals fan or your parents are a Cardinals fan, that's him right there. That's him in a Bucks uniform. I should have did the Cardinals uniform, but he has 100 sacks in the NFL. His name is Simeon Rice. He was the defensive end. Donovan was the quarterback. I figured out very, very young, 14 years old, I'm no longer a basketball player or a football player. I'm going to play baseball and I'm going to play golf. So in 1997, while at Scottsdale, I put this up here so that you could see, this is the Junior College World Series right here. This is the actual bracket from the actual magazine. I cut and pasted it out of there. So I go to Scottsdale after the coach says, enroll in classes here, come play baseball. 1997, we go to the Junior College World Series. Top 10 teams in the country go to the World Series in Colorado. We finished 3rd in the country that year. That afforded me a scholarship to go to the University of New Orleans for 2 years, where I ended up playing for 2 years, getting my degree. The entire time that I was there and doing both of those things in college, my dad said, how are you going to pay for car insurance? Well, I don't know. I go to school full time. I play basketball, or I play baseball. He said, all right, well, you got to get a job. The whole time that I was there, I got a job in a restaurant. So culinary class was in the first 2 things. They kind of shake their head there. I got a job cooking in a restaurant. I had never cooked before, but that started my culinary journey. I was 19 years old. My dad's like, how are you going to pay for car insurance? I'm like, I don't know. So I got this job. My neighbor owned the restaurant when I moved to Arizona, so it was easy to get a job, and he started to teach me how to cook. Anyone been to Native Grillin' Wings? I'll talk about that later, but it used to be called Native New York or Native Grillin' Rings. Anyone know what it is? Yes. Good. It was originally called Native New Yorker. The original location is where I learned how to cook. And then when I was in New Orleans, I cooked and waited tables at Joe's Crab Shack, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. So while I'm going to school, I'm learning these culinary chops in a very, very high tense environment kitchen, right? Native Grillin' Wings, back then the wings were 10 cents. And now they're about $1.50 a piece. They were 10 cents a piece back then. So the entire Mountain Point football team came in, ordered 2,000 wings for 60 kids, and fed all of them for $200. 2,000 wings, right? So we were making a lot of wings. I learned how to cook in that kitchen. We're going to talk more about cooking here in a little bit. So after I was done with college, I had a pro team approach me, and they happened to be in Scottsdale, Arizona. Do you want to play professional baseball? Of course I want to play professional baseball. So I went and tried out for them. That team is right here on the right. That pointer goes rogue once I go to the screen there, but that's the Valley Vipers right there of the Western Baseball League. I got signed by them in the summer of 2000. I played with the likes of these guys on the screen. This guy is Ricky Henderson. He stole the most bases in the history of baseball. He was there for the first 2 weeks of our spring training. Same with Tony Phillips, who hit second in the lineup behind Ricky Henderson. That was one of our pitchers, Steve Ontiveros. I sat next to him in the bullpen every day. This guy played for the Boston Red Sox, Seattle Mariners, and Oakland A's. All of those guys were on my team the first year that I played pro ball. So here I am thinking, I got my college degree, played 4 years of high school, 4 years of college. Now I'm a professional baseball player. I was only making $800 a month, so not that much, but I'm living the dream. This is it. Then I threw one pitch in Chico, California, and got this. That's Tommy John surgery. My baseball career was over overnight. So I woke up, that was on a Tuesday, I woke up that Wednesday, released from the team, surgery scheduled for Thursday, start your life, what are you gonna do? No idea. I'm 47 years old, by the way. I still don't know what I wanna be when I grow up. So you're in career class, you're looking at this, what do I wanna do? Take your time to understand what's in front of you, understand what you love. I had no idea what I was gonna do. That's Native, there's Joe's. I worked there the entire time, and then I realized, all right, I'm engaged. I'm getting married. I can't be a cook in the restaurant and buy a house or pay rent or any of that stuff. I got to do something different. So I had my college degree at that time. Again, woke up with a brace on my arm, no idea what I'm going to do, and my buddy John called me and was like, well, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. He said, I just got this job at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I go, rent-a-car? Well, like, I got a college degree. He didn't have a college degree. Here's me. Well, I got a college degree. Like, I'm not going to come rent cars. And he's like, well, I don't have a college degree, and it's a great company. I'm like, all right, I'll go check it out. Well, come to find out, they're like the largest recruiter of recent college graduates in the world. Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I had no idea. He got a job because he was in car sales prior to that. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll go do that. So I spent 8 years there, almost 8 years there. And it was at that time, after my 8th year, I had a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old at my house. I was married by this time, had my house, my wife was staying home with my kids, and I had a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And it got really tiring to me leaving for work when it was dark and getting home when it was dark. That became really tiring because I had this 5-year-old and 3-year-old at home. I wasn't going to be the dad that missed t-ball. I wasn't going to be the dad that missed the dance recital. I wasn't going to be the dad that missed donuts with dad. I wasn't going to be the one to not see him in the morning off to school. And now they're getting to the point where that's going to start happening. So I threw my resume out there after 7 years with Enterprise, and a recruiter called me. She put 3 different opportunities in front of me and said, listen, I think you can get into outside sales, which means you create your own schedule, you don't have an office to go to, you'll see your family a lot more. That's when she put this company in front of me, Iron Mountain, on the right-hand side. That was 17 years ago, and that's where I'm at today. Now, Iron Mountain, what's that? See this picture right here? Those are boxes in a warehouse on a shelf. My company is the largest company in the world that stores boxes for other company of information. Now think about this. If you've ever been to urgent care or a doctor or a hospital, or if you've ever been to a bank or anywhere else, every day paper is being generated everywhere that you go. Contracts are being generated, loans are being generated. These companies need somewhere to store this stuff. They store it in my buildings. I didn't even know that this company existed before this recruiter told me, hey, this company, Iron Mountain's really good. That was 17 years ago. Since then, I started in outside sales. I became a regional sales manager, a mid-market director, a national account director, a corporate account director, and now I'm the vice president of sales for all of North America. That's been a 17-year journey leading up to now. Now, the entire time that I'm doing this, especially while at Enterprise, I'm making not enough money to really live that great, and I got these kids at home, and my wife stays home and does not like cooking. I had to continue my culinary chops out of necessity. We couldn't be going out to eat every day. There was no DoorDash back then. I couldn't be going out to Outback Steakhouse and spending $50. I had to figure out how to feed my family to make sure that my wife didn't have to get a job so that she could stay home with my kids. So just like in college, it was born out of necessity to cook in those restaurants because I needed to pay my car insurance and things like that. Cooking while in corporate America, even though I was working very long hours, my wife doesn't like cooking, it was out of necessity to feed my family so that we didn't have to eat out every single day so that we could actually save a few dollars. So my culinary journey started out of necessity. It wasn't because I wanted to do it necessarily, it's because it started out of necessity. But here's the cool thing. You work hard enough, you got enough grit, and we're going to talk about grit here in a little while. You do that enough, you start getting promoted. So I started getting promoted at Iron Mountain. I don't like cars. I don't like jewelry. I don't like clothes. My daughter works at American Eagle. These are $5, literally $5. These are, I think, American Eagle jeans, 20 bucks. My son makes me buy these because I got bad feet and he says they're good for me. I do love them. They're $100. I would never buy a $100 pair of shoes in my life, but I don't like that. What do I like? I like stuff to cook with. So as I started getting promoted in corporate America, I bought a smoker and I bought a grill and I built a pizza oven and I got a flat top grill and I started really getting into cooking because I had a couple bucks to my name at this point and that's what I like doing. I don't like cars, I don't like jewelry. So that's what I started doing and that's what I'm doing today. So I run North American sales for Iron Mountain, got around 100 people that report up through me, and this is the service that we're selling. We're helping companies store their information, get rid of it when they can get rid of it, and scan their information to make it digital because the world is going digital. So that's what I do today. It was probably when I started buying that equipment, I'm going to say my daughter was around 13 years old, and she was like, "Dad, you're really good at this. Like, you should have your own YouTube channel." That was, I guess, about the time that I let my kids start watching YouTube. They were probably doing it a lot sooner than that, but she goes, "You'd be really good on this YouTube channel. You can go viral, Dad." And I was like, "Yeah, no, whatever, but that sounds fun. Like, let's do it." So she got her phone or my phone and started taping me cooking things on YouTube, and she would edit them with some free editing software and put them on there, and I got 10 subscribers and then 50 and then 700 and then 1,000, and then she was like, kind of got into her high school life, and so YouTube kind of died off a little bit, but it was around that time that she was getting into high school that she goes, "We watch the Food Network all the time, Dad, like Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, Guys Grocery Games, Iron Chef, Chopped, all of these shows on Food Network." She goes, "You'd be great on one of those shows." I go, "Yeah, but like 1 million people try out for those shows. Like, they're not going to pick me. Why would they pick me for that show?" And she was like, "Yeah, no, I think you'd be really good." This is one of the first times I learned a lesson from my daughter that day. Did I want to be the dad that told his 13 or 14-year-old daughter, "It's a numbers game, they'll never pick me"? What does that teach her? That teaches to not go for something that you want to do? That you're going to get caught up in a numbers game and they're not going to pick you? I applied for the show on Food Network because I didn't want to show her that you shouldn't do something if you love it. And guess what happened? They called me. I filled out the application and did a 3-minute video. They called me. 2 months later, it's 4 o'clock on a Friday, 4:07 to be exact. 7:07 on the East Coast, 3-hour time difference. The call was coming in from Florida. I don't know what psychopath answers an unknown number, but I did that day. I don't think I have done it since, but I answered the phone that day. And he said, "My name is Oscar, I'm from the Food Network, we loved your video." And I went, "Oh my God." He said, "Do you have some time to talk?" I talked to Oscar that day for 30 minutes. The next week, I was on a video call with 3 producers from the Food Network. It then took me 1 year to get on the show Guys Grocery Games on the Food Network. 1 year, talking to producers every single week for 1 year. Now, COVID had a lot to do with that, but I talked to producers for every single week for a year. Why did it take that long is a question that a lot of people ask me. It cost them $300,000 to make one episode of Guys Grocery Games. $300,000 to make one episode. I'm an amateur. I'm not trained. I did not go to culinary school. I do not own a restaurant. I cooked in them, cooked for my family. Don't do any of those things. They had to make sure that if they invested in me to come to that show, that they weren't wasting $300,000 to make that show. It took me 1 year to get on that show. You saw the first episode, I won. The second episode, 2 of us won. I won $10,000 and then $10,000, donated it all to a place called No Kid Hungry, which gives meals to underprivileged kids in the United States. After that second show, he came up to me. You guys know who that is? It look familiar, guy? He came up to me and he said, hey man, you're awesome. You could go against real chefs. And I was like, really? He's like, I'm gonna bring you back to go against real chefs. So he brought me a third time to go against real chefs on a summer tournament. There was 8 of us, 7 chefs who have all won the show and owned restaurants, and me. They brought me in as the wild card. And then I got my ass kicked in the week 1 and they kicked me off the show. But they brought me to go against those chefs. I only lasted 1 week, I was gone. Then they brought me back a 4th time to go against the girl that I went against the 2nd time in a rematch. So I've won the show 2 different times. The only reason that happened, the only reason it happened is because my daughter said, Dad, you're really good at this, you should do it. And I didn't want to show her that you shouldn't try something that happens in your life. After the 2nd time that I went, she comes back and she goes, no more YouTube, you got to get on TikTok, Dad. I go, okay, what's that? Like, my kids encouraged me to not do TikTok. It was like, don't get on there, don't get on there, don't get on there. I come home the 2nd time, she goes, you got to get on TikTok. I was like, all right. She's like, I'll film your stuff. You know, we're going to put you on TikTok. It's probably within the first couple months. I have people over at my house all the time. I'm cutting steak. I'm just cutting a steak to be able to serve to people. And my daughter's standing there, my buddy John, and they're talking. I don't know, she's probably 15 at this point, maybe 16, probably 15. And she goes, film my dad doing that. And my buddy John pulls out his phone and he goes, what are you doing, chef? And I just look up and I go, the #1 mistake that people make when cutting a steak is you cut it with the grain, and I do this 20-second video. She posts it, send me that video. She gets it, she edits it, she posts it. I woke up in the morning, 3 million views and 9,000 followers. She's like, it's gonna work, Dad. Like, people love this stuff, it's gonna work. Again, I would have never thought of doing that. I didn't know I should take that chance. She told me to do it, okay? There's her, right here. This is her. There's my wife, Danielle. There's her. There's me. Now this kid, right here. Look around the room. We're gonna talk a little bit about this kid. He might be here right now. I learned that from my 13 to 15-year-old daughter, right? How to do this. She's the reason why I went on the Food Network. I'm laying in my bed on a Saturday morning, probably 8:30 in the morning, okay? My son walks in the room, he's 13 years old. He walks in the room, he's got his phone out. He goes, Dad, look at this. He hands me his phone. He's on the Sneakers app. Anyone like Sneakers? Sneakers app? You have the Sneakers app? You know, they drop at 9 o'clock, right? You go for a drop, they drop at 9 o'clock. I didn't know anything about this. I was like, I go to Foot Locker or wherever to get my shoes, DSW, I don't care about shoes, right? He hands me the phone and he goes, Dad, see these shoes? There were these shoes right here. They're called Bear Brick Dunks, right? Bear Brick Dunks. He goes, Dad, I think if we buy these shoes for $100, we might be able to sell them for $150 or $200. And I went, why in the world would someone give us more than what we paid for a shoe? He goes, I don't know, they're gonna sell out and people are gonna want this shoe. And I go, well then let's just go to Foot Locker and buy them all. I'll just go buy them all and then we'll sell them. He goes, no, Foot Locker doesn't get them. Any of those shoe stores, they don't get them. They're only on this app and they're gonna sell out. I go, all right, like, okay. I download the app and we're sitting on the edge of my bed. Download the app. He's like, the drop's at 9 o'clock, right? The button goes live at 9 o'clock on the phone. Man, I got a little bit of adrenaline rush. You're like, oh my God. You know, like, I don't get them. I don't get them. He's, Dad, I got them. I got them. I was like, cool. Like, charge my credit card on Apple Pay or whatever it was. I'm like, that's awesome. Like, at this point, I'm like, he's 13 years old. I don't know how we're gonna sell these shoes, but that was fun for $100. Like, maybe he's right. I don't know, right? The shoes come later that week. He comes back in my room. He goes, hey, I got the shoes. They're really cool. Hey, Dad, look at this. Look at this. He hands me his phone and he goes, this app's called StockX. And I go, okay. And he goes, see this right here? Someone's willing to pay $200 for those shoes. And I go, come on, like what? What? And he's like, yeah. All we got to do is press that button. You press that button, it's going to sell the shoes to someone that bid on the shoes. And I was like, okay, then do it. Like, let's see what happens. Boom, there it is. Look, we sold them. We sold them. Oh, here's the label. We got to print this label. We got to put them in a box. And then once the customer gets them, they'll give us the money. And I was like, this is a thing? Yeah, this is a thing. Then guess what happened? Hey, Dad, these Yeezys, people really like these things. Hey, Dad, I know some guys, because I researched this, they got these bots, and the bots go on they go on Yeezy and they buy these shoes. Next thing you know, I got a room full of Yeezys. I got a room full of Dunks. Oh, these Jordan 1s. Yeah, you got to get the high. You can't get the mids. You got to get the high. Let's go for these Jordan 1s. Next thing you know, I got a text thread with 20 people saying, download the sneakers app and go for these shoes. We'll split the profits with you. Basically started running a shoe business out of the loft of our house. About junior year, he comes up to me and he goes, hey, Dad, we got to talk about this. I said, oh, what's up? Like, what's going on? I really don't want to go to college. I was like, okay, like, this is going too well. I don't really want to go to college. Like, that's not my thing. He never liked school. He's like his dad. I never liked school either. I said, hey, listen, as long as you're just not playing video games all day, unless you want to be a Twitch streamer, then play video games all day. But as long as you're not playing video games all day, laying on the couch on your phone and not doing anything, I don't care what you do. We have a whole room of all of this stuff because a 13-year-old walked in and said, Dad, I think we should do this, right? Then what happened during COVID, we're all locked in our house. These are sports cards, Michael Jordan rookie card, Mike Trout, LeBron, Ronald Acuna, Patrick Mahomes. Again, here I am in my bed. He goes, Dad, you got any of these you got all those sports cards you used to tell me about? Yeah, he goes, I think those are a thing again. I'm like, what do you mean they're not worth anything? He's, no, I've been doing research. I think they're a thing again. Pull out all my cards or whatever, start following Instagram pages that are doing cards. Next thing you know, hey, if we get this one, I think we can sell it for this. We get this one, I think we can sell it for that. I'm like, okay. Now imagine if I would have said, no, you got to go to ASU. That's a horrible decision, right? That's a horrible decision. So at that point, I'm just like sitting there like thinking and learning. Like, I learned from my 13-year-old daughter, put yourself out there. You never know what's going to happen. I learned from my 13-year-old son, just do this and see what happens, right? I would have been an idiot to tell him to go to college. That would have been a horrible decision. My guess is he probably wouldn't be sitting right there right now if I made him do that, right? It would be a completely different story than what it is today. But it was because of curiosity. So when you talk about your career, be curious. Whatever it is, you want to own your own business, go be curious about it. You want to film content for TikTok and play video games, go get curious about it and figure out how to do it. The only reason those things happened was because I listened to my kids that were 13 years old. I would not be doing what I'm doing today. I help him with his sports card business, and I love it. Samantha films my TikTok lives last month. Got 900 people in a room watching me make pork chops. I would never be doing that unless she promoted that. So the point is, if you see something, try it, do it. The worst thing that could happen is you get knocked down. That's okay. Get up and do something else. Careers are going to be a lot like that as you get out of high school. What you will realize here on the left part of the screen, the major traits that I think that you need to be successful are here. Does anyone see geometry, trigonometry, psychology? No. Positivity, energy, your reputation, right? Do what you say you're going to do. That is your reputation. Integrity, perseverance, resiliency. Remember, get knocked down, get back up. The people that are the most successful in life are the grittiest. The grittiest people are the most successful. The one that see a challenge in front of them and say, I can do that. And even if they fail, we call that learning. You learn from the failure. It's not failure. Failure means that you stop. If you fail, that means that you learned. And when you get back up, you do it again differently based on what you learned. It's going to happen every single day of your life. That is going to happen every single day. So here's a few things that I live by. Being positive is a choice. Choose it every day. When you wake up, do it. I know that it's hard sometimes. I know you're at a point in your life right now where it's not easy to do that. Am I saying that you got to get up and do what I'm doing every single day and be loud in everyone's face? No. But when you get up in the morning, just say, I can and I will, and go attack it. Attitude and effort require no talent. You're talking to someone that has very little talent outside of cooking, speaking, and sales. I don't have talent in a lot of things, but I guarantee you my attitude and my effort are going to be the best, no matter what I try. You do that, your attitude and your effort are going to dictate your success. I talked about grit. I'm going to show you a link to a video that I'm going to make sure that your teacher has. Grit is the #1 factor of being successful. Harvard research did the study. Every industry in corporate America, the Chicago public school system, and every serial entrepreneur, they put thousands of people into a thing. The #1 predictor of success across all of those things are not your education. It is not your parents. It is not the car you drive. It is not the amount of money that you have. It is if you attack something with grit, perseverance, and resiliency. #1. The only common thing that they found. Grit, perseverance, resilience. That's it. You become the average of the 10 people that you hang out with most. I promise you that. I am a result of it. I'm 47 years old. There are people that come into my life and I say, bring them into my 10. This person's someone I want to be around. There are people that come in that I push out and go, you cannot be part of my 10. Because you will be influenced and you will influence within that sphere. Choose that very, very wisely. Here's a couple links. This is the one about grit. This is the one, your legacy is your reputation. No one's going to remember. No one's going to remember that you cheated them out of something or that you hit a home run. No one's going to remember that you got 100 on your geometry test. When I'm in the ground, the only thing that they're going to say at my funeral is the way that I made them feel. They're not going to remember the years in sales and the vice president. Bullshit. None of that means anything. They're going to remember the way that you made them feel. Always remember that. Watch that video if you want to see something about legacy. Number 3. It's called the happiness advantage. I won't get into it, but the people that have been studied through the course of time that wake up and say, yes, I can, are far more successful and far more happy than the people that wake up and say, I can't. And the last thing is Drake won the beef with Kendrick. Wow. Not Like Us is a great song. Drake won the beef. He set him up. All right, that's it. Questions?
You guys had a question on guys' grocery games yesterday, guys?
Yes. Anything, nothing is off limits.
About 5 minutes for questions. Guys.
Go ahead. What do you got? Go ahead, sir.
Was it like a overnight process with the challenges?
Say it again.
Like, was it throughout the days of the week with the challenge? Like
No.
One day?
No, your call time is 5:45 a.m. and they film 2 episodes in the day. Sometimes you're in both, sometimes it's only one and they have another set of people. 5:45, the van picks you up, you're on the set at 6, you're in wardrobe at 6:15, you got breakfast at 6:30 with coffee, you have a briefing at 7 a.m., you go meet Guy at 8, that's when you take those pictures, you meet Guy at 8, you're on the set at 8:30. The first time that I was there, I walked into my hotel that night at 9:15 p.m. So about 14 hours. Yes?
When you were younger, did you ever picture yourself being where you are today?
What a great question. Did I ever picture myself when I was younger where I'm at today? Man, that's a tough one. I always knew that there was something in me, but where I'm from, And by the way, what I'm going to say right now is with the most respect that I could give to everything, because my dad was a police. Where I'm from, they're carpenters, my brother's an electrician, carpenters, electricians, cops, fire department, things like admirable things, military, my cousin, military, all of those things. I thought that that's what I was supposed to do. When I was 13 years old, I think everyone knew that I had a business mind and that I could be very good at sales, but I didn't have a dad at that point that would come in and say, you should try this, right? Because where we're from, it was just do your schooling, shut your mouth, get your job, have a couple kids, and retire. Like, that was it. I didn't know that there was a world outside of it until I moved to Arizona, played baseball, then played professional baseball. Then I started seeing the world through a different lens when I got to enterprise, and I went, no, I could be like really, really successful. And I gauged that off of watching other people give up, watching other people quit because they couldn't hack it. My grit is what carried me through, and I didn't realize that until I was about probably 24 years old, and then I was like, I could do this, right? I could do this. And not that money is no predictor, this has nothing to do with money. It has to about being happy and successful in what you deem as happy and successful, which is where I'm at today. Yes, sir.
Would you go back on the TV show?
I would go back on the TV show, yes. The question was, would you go back on the TV show? I did apply for MasterChef Amateur on Fox. I talked to them once. That was last year. I don't believe that they're filming anything right now. And I have talked recently, within the last month, to Barbecue Showdown on Netflix. So we'll see if they do another season of that. I'd love to go do that. Yes, sir.
How much earnings did you make off?
Say it again. Talk to the back of the room.
How much earnings did you make off the entirety of the show you were on?
$20,000, and I donated it all to No Kid Hungry, which provides meals for underprivileged youth in America. $20,000. Yes.
Was it hard to get into the culinary part?
Yes, it was. Yeah. So the answer is, was it? So the question is, was it hard to get to the culinary part of my life? The answer was yes, it was, because I wasn't the cook. My mom cooked. My mom stayed home with 4 kids. I didn't have to cook anything. So yes, that was very hard for me, because then my neighbor, when I moved to Arizona, was like, you want a job in a restaurant? I'm like, I can't cook. So then I walk into a restaurant, I know this is a problem in today. When we don't know and we feel like we're going to be stupid at something, we don't try it. I walked into this kitchen and was like, all right, now what? And there's fryers going and burgers cooking. And they're like, just grab those and start doing it. And I messed it up and I learned and whatever. So yeah, it was very hard to do that. Yes, one more question, then I got to say one more thing. Go ahead.
If you didn't get injured in baseball, would you still be a chef?
If I didn't get injured in baseball, would I still be a chef? Yes. Why? I'm a realist. I know. I looked like this in 1999 when I played professional baseball. Watch the Diamondbacks game. No one looks like this. No one's 5'10" and, chubby like me. So I knew that baseball was a finite thing. It was going to be over, right? I kind of made a joke of it earlier, but that is my son, Tony. He was the one that came to my bed with the bear bricks, and he's a full-time sports card dealer now. And he also got me into, by the way, if you've ever heard, hey, Dad, Supreme is a thing. You guys know what Supreme is? I'm like, why would anyone pay $100 for a T-shirt? And then he's like, here it is. I got to show you. So then we started doing Supreme, and then we're doing Bape, and then we're doing all this other stuff. Only because he walked in the room and he was like, this is how it is. I'm just telling you, right? Any questions about shoes or sports cards? He's here if you need them.
Edwin had a question.
Are you ever going to open a restaurant?
That's a great question, because they asked it in the previous class. Am I ever going to open a restaurant? My answer today is no. Why? Because I like hanging out with this guy, and I like hanging out with my daughter, and I like cooking at my house, and I like not having the pressure to cook, and I like watching the Bears game on Sunday, and I like going to sports card shows and sporting events. And the second that you do a restaurant, you marry that restaurant. And I'm already married and I already got kids, and I don't need that right now. But maybe, once I retire from corporate America, maybe. Yes?
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food? Grilled, anything grilled. If I could start a fire in my backyard, crack a beer, and grill something, anything that comes off that grill is my favorite. There was another hand up over here that I said, yes.
What's your favorite food you cook?
Say it again, louder. Talk to him.
What was one of your favorite things that you made already?
What's your favorite thing that I make?
That's tough.
I don't know. I mean, he's one of my tests. You know what he's really been liking lately I'm going to say the last 6 months? Steak sandwiches. Trying a bunch of different sauces and steak sandwiches with different breads and things like that. I've been really liking that, like grilling steak and making sandwiches out of it. The sandwich that I made on the show, was like over the top. That's the reason why I won that show, is that big pork belly sandwich with the fried chunks in there and the schmear and the pickled vegetables. A lot of people ask me, like, I have no idea how I thought of it, of making that, but I knew that I had to fry something. Like, to me, it's not so much the food, it's about the people that I'm doing it with. And yes, I love DoorDash. It's a great option, and we use it all of the time. But to me, the best food is when I can eat with my people, my family, my friends, my neighbors, and we can put our phones away, we can gather around a table, and we can just talk and chit-chat about life. That's my favorite food.
How about the Guys Grocery Games, if it's real or not? I've been asked.
Oh, is Guys Grocery Games real or not? It's very real. It's very real. You have 30 minutes to shop in a grocery store that you've never shopped in, cook in a kitchen that you've never cooked in, with appliances that you've never cooked on, with equipment that you've never cooked with, and then you have to plate 4 different things for 4 worldly renowned chefs. It is 100% real, outside of one thing. See when he said 3, 2, 1 and he tries to get to fake you? Do you remember that? When he goes 3, 2, 1, he kind of goes, oh, there's 3 people in this class, but there's only 2 things left, and the one thing that you go to, that's 3, 2, 1. But he just says it in a normal sentence. The only thing that's not real on the show is they do that twice. The first one, he goes 3, 2, 1. You take 1 step, come back. Then they set up all the cameras in the aisles over the course of about 40 or 50 seconds. Then they say, roll, and then he tries to trick you. That's the only thing that you don't see on TV. And you don't see us washing our hands a lot, because there's a culinary producer that's always watching you wash your hands. But it's very real, very real. The competitor, the baseball player in me, is the reason why I think I was able to do that. That is not how I like to cook. But when I see people next to me, I just go, I'm going to win. And even if I don't win and I lose, I'm going to go, the next time I'm going to win, right? It's that resilience and perseverance that we talked about.
Was Guys Grocery Games was it like an actual grocery store that they just turned into a studio?
Was it an actual grocery store that they just turned it into a studio? It is a warehouse in the middle of nowhere that they bring a bunch of people in to make it seem like it's a grocery store. But what they do is fresh fish every day, fresh shrimp, fresh meat, fresh chicken, fresh bread, all of that stuff, fresh vegetables every day. When it starts to go bad, they give it to a local food bank and then they replenish it so that nothing ever goes to waste in the store. Was this fun? Did you guys have fun? Did you learn anything? Just take out one thing. Just take out one thing, right? I always tell him, you learn what to do from your parents, but you also learn what not to do. Right? 10 years from now, you might say, man, that guy that came into that career class, that was pretty cool. But 10 years from now, you might say, that guy came in, he was loud, he was boisterous, it didn't make any sense. That's not how I want to live. I want to be more reserved. Like, that's not how I am. That's okay. You learn that that's not what you want to do. That's okay. That's okay, right? You got to learn what to do and what not to do from the people that are around you every day.
Real quick before we go on, I want to tell you guys, I want to thank Nick for coming in, because Nick gets paid to go talk to a lot of people. And one thing that we're going to go over in this one, that's soft skills, is networking. You guys all know I run my own business. You guys know I work with conferences. Because first of all, let me rewind. I met Nick 2 years ago at a card show, because I've gotten in cars with his son as well. Met through my wife who works there. He was very positive, very open-minded. Told me, took his time. I wasn't buying anything from him. Took his time and helped me out and taught me a lot of stuff. Okay, so because of that, that's how I know Nick now. And I said, hey, I want you to come talk to this class about your experiences, about your transactions, because it's a cool way he does stuff. You know, it shows you guys many ways of not doing things. Well, because I know him now, he's sort of networker, and gets networking later. I'm going to refer him to a couple of my big clients that because he does this so well. And it's just because it took a little bit of time to come and talk with you guys, and I'm going to ask him back next year, of course. But yeah, he's been awesome. Just because, you know, that's how we're going to go over networking eventually in the future too. But you guys have about maybe 5 minutes. Oh, one last thing. Remember how the other day I talked to you guys about I want to make sure you guys feel great when you walk into my classroom? That's what you guys won't remember everything I taught you, but you remember how I feel? Yeah, you mentioned that. Like he mentioned that he wants to learn how you make people feel. That's how we should always look at stuff as well. So, really quick, give Nick a round of applause, and please feel free to come and talk with him and ask him questions again, okay? You got about 5 minutes. Make sure you guys follow us TikTok.
Shameless plug for the TikTok. The viral videos are pinned at the top.